everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Angel. Today I'm going to be making a Mokume Gane, and right now I have chopped up my color into thin slices. I'm running it through the pasta machine on the 0 setting, and as it comes out, then I'll put two pieces together and put it back through the pasta machine until all of them have been grouped together. And then I'll start slowly changing the setting. My thickest setting is a 0, so then I'll go down to 1 and 2, 3, 4. 5 is usually where I stop because then it gets really thin and sticky and wants to tear apart. But I'll run it through the machine a few times at each setting, and then when I get to setting 5, that's when I'll run it through the most. And I'm looking at the edges to make sure they're smooth, and that is how I know that it has been conditioned well enough. If the edges are still cracking, then it still needs some more conditioning. And I do all the pieces the same way, all the different colors. I want to make sure everything is conditioned well so that they'll all react the same when I start working with them. That's especially important if you're making canes and you're having to reduce them. So I'm showing that I put it back to 0 setting, and that is where I'm going to cut out a piece. And I'm just doing that to make them all consistent sizes. And depending on how big you want your cane to be, or your piece to be that you're working with, I don't know if Mokume Ganes are considered canes or not. You can use a smaller square or a larger square. You don't even have to use a square if you're able to just trim it up the way you like it. I just think this is nice to start off neat. So now I'm trying to decide on what colors are a good contrast, and then I'm going to run it through my pasta machine on the 0 setting. And since I have 5 colors, I'm a little stressed out with what am I going to do with that silver because there's nothing to stretch it out with. So I eventually stretched it out with my hand, which is fine. You know, with Mokume Gane, it doesn't matter if you're going for a specific effect. You know, you might want to change things. I'm just happy that, you know, things turn out pretty and cute and mixed up. So I'm not trying for it to be perfectly each layer the same size. I do start off that way. And if you see here, as I run it through my pasta machine on the 0 setting, it all didn't stretch the same, which is fine for me. Some people will cut that off, but I'm looking for a lot of color mixing as I'm putting the texture in. So to me, that just is going to make more color changes as I start slicing through. And again, you can do this either way you like. And you don't have to run it through the pasta machine as many times as I did. You just start slicing and stacking. But I think the more you run it through the pasta machine, I think you'll have more color changes. So I'm just giving it a nice little roll just to make sure it all sticks together and that it will stick to, oh my gosh, I don't forgot what that's called, that white thing. That white thing that it's sitting on. So now, this is the fun part. Here I'm using just a little flathead screwdriver, and you just start making your marks. You can create designs, you can make things random, whatever, you know, circles, squares, diamonds, whatever you want. If you look on Pinterest, you can find a lot of ideas on how they kind of plan theirs out a bit. And this is a new little tool set that I bought, and it had a lot of oil on it to stop from rusting out, so I thought that was pretty cool. Now when you do this, you'll have a lot of the clay sticking in To me, that's an advantage because after I poke out that plug, I can turn it upside down and stick it back in the hole. And so as I'm slicing, you'll see more color variations. And that just really helps with getting really nice designs. This one I just decided to stick it back in the same way. In hindsight, I should have turned them all over and you would have got more definite petal shapes throughout. I decided to put black on the top because as I'm pressing down, that black is sort of framing that indentation that you're making. But it's up to you. You know, you can go ahead and flip it over and do the orange or whatever was on the other side of your stack. That is totally up to you, and you can experiment on how you layer things. I just know you want contrasting colors, you know, stuck together. And if you look through your house, you can find a lot of different tools to go ahead and make your impressions. I did buy some things, but in the beginning I was just using what I had. You know, there's a knitting needle. You can use your chopsticks. If you take the pin part out of your pen, you'll have that plastic part, and that would be strong enough. So you've got a circle on one end and a smaller circle on the other end to make your impressions. I don't think a straw would be strong enough to go through all these layers. But that's worth a try. You can put it part way through, especially if you have short cutters and you have a tall stack. You don't have to go all the way through. Just do your impressions. And as you're slicing, once you get to the part where there's no more impressions, you know, do your indentions again. And I do that towards the bottom of this piece. When I get to the silver part, I couldn't really see any nice designs, so I went ahead and pressed some more tools into it. This one is a Phillips screwdriver. So you get a nice little plus or an X, depending on how you're looking at it. And I just picked up those pieces at Walmart, you know, in the screwdriver section. That one's a flathead. I use that to make some nice starburst designs. You know, if you put a circle down and you put the nice line, use that flathead, all around it, you get a nice little starburst design. And that's an old embossing tool that I've had for decades. But I've got ball tools though. I just didn't have enough room on here. But different size ball tools, you just press it all the way down and you get another nice little design. Now this is going to be the exciting part when you start slicing through and see what you get. Make sure you're cleaning off your blade so that it'll slice through nicer. Now there's different techniques for Mokume Gane. There's the type where you squish that block nice and small, or the Julie Piccarello technique where you leave it like that so when you slice it you'll have holes. And then when you add that slice on top of a background, you'll see the background through the hole. And in the videos that are going to follow this, I'll show you those techniques. So there's a lot of ways to do this. And I try my best to get them thin and even as possible, but I'm not really good at that. Some are thick on one end and thin on another end. So later on I'm making the decision whether to put it through the POS machine or just kind of flatten it with my finger or the roller because I don't want it distorted. I'll also just burnish it into the backing clay to make it flatter and even. You know, there's just a lot of things that you can do with it. But I like making a lot of little pieces instead of just big, thick chunks, because then I only get a few pieces out of that. When I say pieces, pendants or earrings. And by slicing it thinly, I can add it onto a backing clay and get a whole bunch of different jewelry pieces out of it. So I'm coming down to the bottom part. This was a 3-hour video process this day, and I had such trouble editing and trying to upload it, so I finally just deleted it and started over. And they're going to be shorter videos where I'll show you this part in making the Mokume Gane, and then the later videos are going to show you what I made with all these slices. And I think that's just really fun, where you just let your imagination run wild. You look for a lot of inspiration on the internet, so you kind of get an idea of what you want to make, and you just have fun. You know, this is just no wrong way. The hardest part is deciding which side of the slice you want to use, which side you think is the prettiest, and that gets hard for me. Here I am adding more texture to it because I lost it all, and so I'm just adding some more and slicing away until I get to the bottom. And when I get to the bottom, I'm going to I will use that clay somehow, some way, either to make marbled beads or just as a filler. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for the rest of the videos once I get them uploaded. And I hope you have a lovely day and happy crafting. Bye-bye.